Today, I'll show you how to make a tank inside a Roblox studio that you can hop in and roam freely in it, and with just a click of a button, you are able to shoot random citizens on the streets with free will. And it's pretty easy to make, so without further ado, let's get into it. Before I start, I just want to say that the link to the model is inside of the description if you don't want to waste any time building or scripting. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or even tutorial recommendations, list them below and I'll make sure to take care of them. Alright, so I think the first thing that we should do is model the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way real quickly. Alright, and once you're done modeling the tank, go ahead and select all the parts and click on union, and this should form all the parts into one. And if it does this weird angle thing where whenever you kind of drag it and place it somewhere, it kind of makes it like it places it in a weird angle, go ahead and press Ctrl Z to where all the parts are separated again, and Ctrl Z just kind of undoes your actions. Unseparate all your parts again and then click on union. And if it still does the weird thing again, just keep going back and pressing union to where it is finally fixed correctly. And once you've done that, I'm gonna move it up a little bit. I know you don't really need to, but once you've done that, go ahead and rename this model to tank body. Alright, and then in the properties of the tank body, scroll down to where it says collisions and turn can collide off, and then scroll down again to the parts section and make it maskless. And those two and whenever you make it maskless and turn the can collide off, it just kind of makes it easier for the tank to move whenever you drive it. Alright, so once you're done modeling the tank, we can just kind of put that aside, and now we can actually make the tank drivable. But before we do that, in the model tab, make sure that the join surfaces is on, and that the move in the snap to grid section, make sure that the move is to 0.5 studs. And that will just kind of make it easier to move the parts to where they need to be and center where things need to be centered. And then for the plugins, we're going to be using this plugin called Building Tools by F3X, and it's just gonna make it easier to make this car overall. And if you don't have it, I'll put a link in the description for you to get it, and it is completely free. So once you have all of those three things set, now we can actually get started with building the car. So go ahead and insert a block, and we're gonna name this part base. Alright, and this is just gonna be the base plate of our little car, and I'm going to scale it something like a rectangle, just like that. And then I'm going to insert a cylinder as my wheel for this car. So how this car is going to work, or how this tank is going to work, is basically there's going to be like this little default simple car that you can drive, but you won't be able to see it. But basically we're going to put the tank on top of the car, and that's how we'll be able to move the tank. You will see in a bit. So once you have your wheel, just make sure that it is perfectly centered with the base plate of with the base of the car. So just like that. And then of course make the wheel wider than the wheel, or make the wheel wider than the base of the thing, and make sure that it is still centered afterwards. But yeah, once you've made one wheel, go ahead and press Ctrl D, and I'll duplicate it, and you can move it to the other corner of the car. And then we're gonna move the wheels to this side, so select both of them, press Ctrl D, and then rotate it 180 degrees, and then move it to this side, so that now you have both a set of wheels on this side of the car and on this side of the base car, the car base. And now, once you have your four wheels in your little base part, go to the plugins and click on the Building Tools by F3X. And then over here, you will see a little menu on the left side and on the right side. And on the right side, you will see all these little icons. Just press B, and that will bring you to the Surface Tool section. And now what we have to do is that we have to add hinges on the wheels that we can connect to the base part, so that the wheels can actually spin along the hinges so that the wheels can actually spin like a normal car. So once you press B and you're in the surface tool section, select all of your wheels, and then depending on how you built your car, we need to get the hinges facing the base. So basically this face of the cylinder, the face that's facing the base, we just need to get the hinges on that side. So depending on how you built your car, it could be either on the left or on the right side. So I'm going to choose right, and then I'm going to select hinge, and then as you can see, it's the hinges are facing outward. So to fix that, just press Ctrl Z, and then press select the left side or the other side that's facing the thing, and then press hinge again, and as you can see, all the hinges are facing the base plate. And once you have all the hinges set, you could just select this side of the wheels and then press Z, and that will bring us to the moving tool section, or just the moving tool. And then make sure that you move the wheels perfectly aligned with the body, and then do it on the other side, and make sure that it's not intersecting but like right on the side of the base. And once you have the base of the cars done, we can click out of the plugin, and now we're going to add a vehicle seat to the car. So to do that, right click on the base plate and press insert objects, and then type in vehicle seat or just VE, and it will bring you to the vehicle seat at the top of the list. And then click and drag it on top of the base of the car, and because joint surfaces is already on, then it will create a weld between the vehicle seat and the base, and then just rotate it to where it is like hamburger style kind of way, because if it's rotated the other way, then it's just gonna try driving that way, and since the wheels are pointing this way, it's just not gonna work. So make sure it is rotated hamburger style, just like that. And once you have the vehicle seat set up, then we can actually play the game and make sure that everything is working how we want it to. So if we get on this car and we start driving, as you can see, using the same controls to move our character, we can steer the car and move it forward and backward like a normal car, and that's what we want. Alright, so now that you've made your little simple car, now we can actually move the tank on top of the car like I was talking about earlier. So I'm just going to grab the tank and place it right there on top of the car, and make sure that the wheels of the tank are equal to the wheels of this car. Alright, and once you've made the bottom equal, make sure that everything else is centered to the car, just like so. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to add a weld constraint to the base of the little symbol car, and to do that, just press go into the tank body, press the little plus, and type in weld constraint. And then in the weld constraint, for part 0, we're going to make that the tank body, and then for part 1, we are going to make that the base. Alright, and as you can see here, the tank is now one with the base of the car. So if we go ahead and test this out, if we just play right here, and we go ahead and hop in our little tank, as you can see, we are now driving the tank, but it is backwards. So to fix that, we could just go inside, we could just click on the vehicle seat and then rotate it 180 degrees, and that would just completely flip over, that would just flip the seat to the front side facing this way. So if we play the game again, then our steering direction should be fixed. And as you can see, our tank is now driving the way we want it to. And of course, you could still see that the car on the bottom is still visible. So just select the vehicle seat and every other parts to this little simple car, and then change the transparency to 1 just so that it's not visible anymore. And then we could select all the parts and group it actually, and rename this group, rename the model to tank. So if we go ahead and try and play again just to make sure we didn't mess up anything, as you can see, our tank still works just fine. Alright, so now that the tank is drivable, now we can actually make the tank shoot cannonballs. So to do that, we are going to insert a spear, and I'm going to scale this all the way down, and I'm going to make the color of this ball black. Alright, and then I'm going to rename this part handle, and then I'm going to insert a tool inside of the workspace, and we're going to put the handle inside of the tool, and just rename this tool to cannon. Alright, and then inside of the cannon, insert a remote event, and then a local script, and then a normal server script. Alright, and once you have those three things added, now we can actually start scripting. So in the local script, I'm going to go ahead and type everything, and then afterwards I'm just going to explain what everything means. Alright, so first we are going to make some variables. So we're going to get the player by saying local player equals game.players.local player, and then we're going to make a debounce. So local db, which is short for debounce, local db equals false, and then we're going to check if the gun has been activated. So when you equip the gun and click anywhere, then we're going to say script.parent.activated, and then connect function, and then we're going to check if the debounce is false. So if db equals false, then we're going to set the debounce to true, so just so that this line, this function doesn't run anymore. And then we're going to get the player's mouse. So local player equals player get mouse, and then we're going to fire the remote event. So script.parent.remote event fire server, and then mouse, and then our parameter is going to be mouse.hit.position, just so that we also include the mouse's position. And then we're going to wait 3 seconds, and then the debounce is going to be set back to false, so that this line can run again after 3 seconds. Alright, so once you're done with that script, we can finally move into the server scripts. And in the server script, I'm going to type everything out, and then I'll explain it afterwards once again. Alright, so first what we're going to do is we are going to make our variables. So we're going to call the cannon, or we're not going to call it, but we're just going to get the cannon. We're going to make a variable for it. So local cannon equals script.parent, so parent of the script. And then local ball equals cannon.ball, which is the handle, or cannon.handle. And then local shot fired, we're going to get the remote event. Local shot fired equals scripts.parent.remote event. And so now we're going to check if the remote event has been fired. So shot fired on server events connect function, and our parameters are going to be player and the mouse position. And so now under this function, we're going to make a variable, and we're going to say local ball clone equals ball dot clone, and the ball is the handle. And then what we're going to do to this ball clone, we're going to say ball clone dot transparency equals 0. We actually don't even need this line right here, because the ball, we're not even going to see the tool in our hand. So just don't write that line. What we're going to do to the ball clone, we're going to give it its position. So ball clone dot cframe equals cframe dot new ball clone dot position. So the original position of the handle to the mouse position, and then the ball clone dot parent is going to be set to the workspace. So now we're going to make the ball actually weightless and give it some speed so that it can fly through the air. And to do that, we're going to make a body velocity variable. So local force equals instant.new body velocity comma ball clone, and we're going to say comma ball clone just so we know that we're talking about the ball clone. And then force.max force equals vector3.new math.huge math.huge math.huge, and this line right here just makes the ball clone weightless. Alright, and then this line down here, force.velocity equals ball clone.cframe.lookAtVector equals 250. This just gives the ball some speeds to travel at. So the lower the number, the slower that the ball goes, and the higher the number, the faster it goes. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to wait a little bit. We're going to wait 1/4 of a second, and then we're going to check if the ball clone has touched anything. And the reason why we're waiting a 1/4 of a second is just so that we can wait for the ball to exit the tank before it explodes. So If we don't have the weight here, if we just shoot the cannonball and it touches the tank, then it's just going to explode right on top of us, and we don't really want that. So we're going to wait a fourth of a second, and then we're going to check if the ball has touched anything, and if it did, then we're going to create an explosion. So local explosion, explode, I just put explode for short. So local explosion equals instant.new explosion, and then explosion.position. So the position is just going to be same as ball clone.position, and then the explosion's parent is going to be workspace, and then we're going to set the blast radius of the explosion to 25, and then explosion.blast pressure is also going to be set to 25, and then we're going to destroy the ball clone once it touches something. So now that we're done with the scripts, we're just going to test it out by putting this script inside, or we're going to test it out by putting the tool inside of starter pack, and then we can test out the game from here. So if we equipped our thing and we click somewhere, as you can see, the ball shoots to where I clicked and it eventually explodes. But if I click on a place like right near me, it doesn't really explode, but farther away it does. And as you can see, there's also like a 3 second wait to whenever we can shoot the ball, so something like it's reloading. But yeah, that's all there is for the tool part. Alright, so now that we're done with the cannon tool, we're just going to place this inside of replicated storage for now. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to make it to every time we sit inside of the vehicle seat, we're going to be given the cannon tool to shoot to the tank, and whenever we exit the vehicle seat, then it's going to take the cannon tool away from us, so only whenever we are inside, or when we are driving the tank, we are able to fire cannons. So to do that, go inside of the tank and insert a script inside of the vehicle seat, and then I'm going to type everything out, and then I'll explain what everything means later. Alright, so we're first going to start this off by saying script.parent, the child added connect function, and our parameter is going to be hit. And the reason why we say child added is because whenever we sit in this vehicle seat, we're basically being added to the seat, we're becoming attached to it. So we just say script.parent and child added as our event. So once we were added to the seat, then we're just going to print out found weld just to be sure that we've been added. And then we are going to check if the hit, so which is us, if hit is equal to script.parents wait for child seat weld. So if there is a seat welds, then we're going to make more functions down here. So local character, or char for short, is going to be equal to hit part1.parent, which is basically us. So hit.part1, which would be like our leg or foot, for example, .parent, which is our character model, and then local rep store, which is short for replicated storage, is equal to game get service replicated storage, and then local item equals replicated storage wait for child cannon, and then local clone equals item clone. So basically we're just going to go inside of the replicated storage, and then we're going to clone the item. And then what we're going to do with this clone is that we're just going to put it inside of our character model. So character.parent equals the character. And now what this function down here is doing is basically whenever the child is removed, so when we exit the seat, so script.parent.child removed connect function hit as our parameter, we're going to print lost weld just so that we know that the child has successfully been removed, and then we're going to make more variables. So local character equals hit part1.parent, same thing up here, and then our local cannon is just going to be equal to the character.cannon. So every time we equip the tool is added to our character model, so basically just the character model to the cannon. And then if there is a cannon inside of the character model, then we are going to destroy it. So if we go ahead and test this out with our tank, it's a little laggy. As you can see, we don't have the tool now, but if we go ahead and hop inside of the tank, we are given the cannon tool, and from here we can actually shoot the things, we can shoot the cannonballs out from the tank. And if we hop out, as you can see, the cannon tool is no longer a part of us. But there is one problem to this so far. If we hop in the tool and we unequip the thing and we jump out, as you can see, it doesn't get rid of it because the tool is actually added inside of our backpack. But whenever here, if I go to my character model, it's in our backpack now, but whenever we equipped it, then it's going to be added to our character model. So to get rid of the tool inside of our backpack, we are going to insert another script inside of the vehicle seat. And then once again, I'm going to type everything out and then I'll explain everything later. So first, we're going to make a debounce variable. So local db equals false. And then script.parent.touchEnded connect function. And we're saying touch-ended this time just so that like whenever we hop out, we touch it for like a split second, but whenever we get out, we're going to touch it, but whenever the touch ends, then we're going to run this function. So again, hit is our parameter, and so if debounce is equal to false, then we're going to set it to true just so that this function doesn't run again. And then we are going to make a variable where we're going to get the player from the hits from the touch. So local player equals game.players, and then find first child's hit.parent.name. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to get the player's name, and we're going to use that to match it with the character that's inside of the players, because as you can see, there is my name in here, but also the character model inside of the workspace. So we're just going to match it by names. So if it is a player, then we're going to make another variable getting the cannon. So local cannon equals player.backpack, and then we're going to find first child cannon, and if there is a cannon, then we're going to say cannon destroy. So we're going to destroy it, and then we're going to set debounce back to false like really quickly. So if we go ahead and play this, and we are in our tank, we can fire it and it works pretty well. Every 3 seconds we can fire again. Alright, but if we unequipped and we hop out, as you can see, it still goes away whether we have it equipped or unequipped. And that is how you make a tank inside of Roblox Studio. I hope this tutorial was understandable, and I hope that the model or the tank works for you. And if it doesn't, just tell me what went wrong or what's wrong with it. And of course, if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, or even video tutorial recommendations, just be sure to list them, and I'll make sure that they are taken care of. And that is all for now. Peace.